Come on in to Margaret McSweeney's Kitchen for Kitchen Chat, where every week you'll meet chefs, cookbook authors, foodies, gourmets, and just plain people who love to eat. And along with laughter, chat, recipes, and stories about food, you'll sometimes also hear words of inspiration, love, and hope. As Margaret always says, Kitchen Chat is food for the senses and food for the soul. So grab a cup of coffee, put your feet up on a comfy chair, and get ready to spend a little time with Margaret and her friends.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kitchen Chat. This is your host, Margaret McSweeney, broadcasting once again from my kitchen counter here in the Chicago suburbs. It is so great to be back with you, listeners. I've missed you, and thank you for your patience as I have made further, progress, you might say, in my own culinary quest and discovering my taste of food. And I cannot wait to share with you my fun experiences in Paris. I'm just returning, and I celebrated my 50th birthday in France, and it was just so much fun. And shortly after this segment, I will be sharing with you. I'm going to title it "Faux Pas and Foie Gras." There are some funny stories along the adventures of my tasting food in French restaurants and not knowing what I was tasting. So I'll save that as a little bit tidbit for later. But I am so glad to reconnect with you. And also I'm going to be sharing with you later the exciting shows we have coming up. I'm just so thrilled and honored about all of these wonderful, wonderful guests that will be joining us here in my kitchen. But before we get to that information, I am so delighted to introduce you to our guests for today, Nick and Barbara Valcamp. They are the gallery owners of Camp Gallery. And you might be saying, okay, I thought this was a food show. What in the world does art have to do with food? Well, this is going to be a fascinating conversation because what's happening on this, they are basically having a pop-up restaurant available for 30 diners in their gallery, Camp Gallery in Winnetka, on Sunday, April 29th, and we'll hear more about this wonderful event where it's basically going to be a pairing of art and food, wine, and travel. And I think the official title is The Art of Food, Wine, and Travel, with a delicious four-course Italian dinner and all these exciting things to discuss. So I know so many times we have the chefs, the cookbook authors, the restaurant owners, the nutritionists, and like for guests. But this is a kind of a different type of show today where it is more of a food experience. And I guess this is personally meaningful to me, especially after my French food experiences in Paris that I can't wait to share with you. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our guests to Kitchen Chat, Nick and Barbara Valcamp. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Margaret. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, well, this is so much fun. And as my listeners know, I do not know how to cook, and I know that's the irony in terms of hosting a podcast radio show called Kitchen Chat, but I'm on a journey to learn about food. And I will also admit that I am not an art connoisseur. So I am, I guess, on an art quest as well here. And I find it intriguing, Nick and Barbara, that you are pairing your passion of food and art. This is just so exciting with the April 29th event. Tell us a little bit about how this concept came about. What made you think about, hey, let's have a pop-up restaurant in our gallery here in Winnetka?
Well, if I could answer that.
Sure.
Nick and I are very passionate about art and the joy and the fulfillment and the pleasure that art brings to people. And if you are not a connoisseur of art, we are the gallery for you because we welcome everyone who has collected or not collected. We have art for people who are just beginning and want something beautiful over the sofa, and we call that decorative art. And then we are also a gallery that services people who have been collecting and are continuing to collect. But the point is that art brings a lot of joy and fulfillment and pleasure, and so does food. And what they both have in common is that they're always changing. And the key, I think, is diversity. So food is always changing, just as you say, you're on a journey.
Yes.
And savoring different types of food from different countries and the joy that that brings. And also art is changing. We began as a period gallery, and now we've branched out to all kinds of art, period, contemporary, modernist. And so we are reflecting really the art of food as well as the art of art.
Yes, and I understand that for this particular pop-up restaurant and food experience at your gallery, Camp Gallery there in Winnetka, that you are going to be focusing on Italian cuisine. So the diners can experience, and it seems like an interactive experience, and where you have this fabulous chef Stephen Reif, who just recently returned from Sicily and is going to be preparing a surprise menu, I understand, with a blend of northern and southern Italian food. But it just seems like it can be an interactive experience and an affordable interactive experience for diners at $40, which is all in, to sit in the middle of your beautiful gallery and look at the Italian artist and oil paintings that you have displayed. Are there any in particular, Nick, that you're excited about displaying?
Here's what we're doing. You see, we're rehanging the gallery with artists from the Mediterranean culture. We're doing not just Italian, but French and Spanish artists. We're going to have a few works by an Israeli painter and even a Greek artist as well. These paintings are mostly contemporary, but some are historical, some reach back 100 years. But they depict the Mediterranean culture, primarily the coastal culture, and different ways of displaying that. And different art styles will be shown, from kind of classic realism of the late 19th century to the early post-impressionism and to contemporary impressionists, post-impressionists. So there'll be a variety of styles, a variety of price points. And this is something that will just add to the ambiance of the dining experience, something that people don't have to know a lot. They can just come in, enjoy the food, and ask questions as they, feel is appropriate. Anything they want to know, we'll be there to answer them.
And I think, Nick, that is so great, because I myself, can be, I guess, intimidated in the past, but now that I've reached the half-century mark, I'm not afraid to ask questions.
Well, this is a real issue. It's really true. People are worried about what happens when, they're worried about coming into a gallery. They're a little nervous. They're not sure that they'll know the right questions to ask. And we have been working with Sharon, who's a publicist for us, and this was really her idea, because she is so knowledgeable about how food works in terms of people's lives, their leisure time, some things to enjoy. And people are becoming more comfortable with food. We want to make them just as comfortable to walk into an art gallery. Not that you every time you walk into a restaurant you expect to eat, but you don't expect to buy something every time you walk into a gallery. We just want to make it more comfortable to have that experience. We want people to walk in and just feel comfortable to spend some time and look and ask questions, because otherwise people won't acquire art ever. They'll be so intimidated, so overwhelmed by fear.
Right, exactly, because it can be intimidating, just as
It
when
is.
someone walks into a fine restaurant and not
Right.
knowing the language on the menu. Thank you. That happened to me in Paris, and I will share with everyone later some of the experiences there. But also, I just think this is a great concept. Sharon Myers and Kitchen Chat listeners, you may remember my interview with her. She is a co-president of Chicago Gourmet. Just has a great sense of gourmet food and is friends with the fabulous chefs in the Chicago area and throughout. And I love this concept where food experiences, and I think this could be an interesting trend just in terms of marketing art or whatever one's product might be, and turning it into a food experience and an international experience and an educational experience. And one thing I'm so intrigued by is how this is being paired. The art, the beautiful Mediterranean art by the artists that you display there, as well as the food, which will be prepared by Chef Stephen Reif. But also, this was so much fun to hear, the event on April 29th at Camp Gallery in Winnetka starts at 5:30 with a cocktail hour, but also with an olive oil tasting provided by Jens. And Kitchen Chat listeners, you probably remember my interview with Jens. He is the owner of that fabulous Gourmet Destinations, which takes culinary tour groups to Italy, just a culinary tour of Italy. And he will be sampling, is that right, providing a tasting of olive oil.
Exactly, yeah.
And he'll also be giving a presentation during dinner, an informal short presentation on what he does as the founder of Gourmet Destinations and a trip to Italy. And he has a great passion for Italy and for his work and for traveling and for food and also for art, as we have found. Yeah. So I think it'll be a really exciting evening for us and for our guests. And basically, we are turning the gallery into a restaurant. So we have travel, and we have art, and we'll have wine, and all of it together will make, I think, a lovely experience.
Yes,
and it's new for us also.
Oh, and that's exciting too. And I think too, the juxtaposition of olive oil with oil paintings.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A great combination. But most importantly, listeners, what a fun opportunity for $40 to be at a gallery to taste fine food, experience fine art, and to really learn about the Mediterranean food art. I mean, it's like an interactive. Who needs the audio visuals? You've got your slideshow displayed there on the wall, and just to be eating with the backdrop of that.
And Nick and I will be just like our guests, or maybe even more naive, because we're not connoisseurs of food, especially Italian cuisine and olive oil. So we will be learning a lot. And
definitely, we'll be learning together with our guests. But I am looking forward to this, and I think my only regret will be that we will only do this once. It's wonderful to have an ambience of relaxation, and I think in some restaurants you can be just as intimidated as you were alluding to before, so that you don't enjoy your food even before you see the bill. You're thinking, oh my God, and the bottle of wine, $200, oh my goodness, So you get into this context of expectations that it's almost impossible to enjoy your meal. Well, for $40, you will be served a delicious meal, and you'll learn something about olive oil and wines you probably didn't know before, and you get to see these beautiful paintings. So this is an incredible opportunity for anyone who wants to extend their boundaries a little bit and try something different. This has never been done in Chicago, to my knowledge, before.
Oh, how
and
fun.
This is a first-time thing. In fact, I'm not sure it's been done anywhere. I'm not familiar with any gallery that has invited a chef in to do a special event like this.
Right.
I certainly have not read of it
Yeah.
in any of my art magazines. It is new. So
yes, you're setting a trend. You are pairing art and food. Exactly. Pop-up restaurants and galleries, and not. I know that you go to the wedding receptions at the different museums and all of that, but for a gallery and to have just that interactive experience and making art and food more accessible. And as my listeners know, and I so appreciate you listeners, I'm just trying to make food experiences and food more accessible and understandable, so people won't be intimidated, and those who are the foodies that are listeners, I also try to bring even more knowledge out there that maybe they weren't aware of. And I think this experience, this wonderful food experience that's coming up at your gallery, Camp Gallery, on Sunday, April 29th, will be just a wonderful way to further expand your knowledge on art and food and wine and travel with Jens and also olive oil. So I encourage you listeners, check out Camp Gallery, www.campgallery.com. For more information on the event. And they are located in Winnetka, 996 Green Bay Road. And also the phone number, if you're interested in going to the event, because it's limited to 30 people, is 847-441-7999. And their email address is Camp Gallery, and camp is with a K, K-A-M-P, gallery at gmail.com. So thank you, Nick and Barbara. Yes.
Enjoyed chatting with you.
Yes, this has been so much fun, and I'm learning more about art, and I look forward to seeing you then. And thank you so much for being a part of Kitchen Chat.
And Margaret, we hope that you will be our guest at this dinner. We would love to meet you again and chat with you and have you enjoy the dinner and the olive oil and all of the above. So we look forward to seeing you too on April 29th.
Thank you for your graciousness and hospitality, and thanks for being guests on Kitchen Chat.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. As promised, I'm now going to share with you some highlights from my recent trip to Paris. What a delight to meet Wendy Lin. She was one of our Kitchen Chat guests. She's the founder of the Paris Kitchen, and Wall Street Journal named her one of the top 10 culinary guides in Europe. My daughter Katie and I met up with my friend May from London and Kelly from Brazil to walk through some really exciting places in Paris and sample tastes that I have never had before. And let me just share those with you. There was an outdoor market where Wendy Lin took us, and the fresh produce was just beautiful. And tour, lo and behold, the first Fraise Gueriguette. These delicious strawberries had just arrived from Provence, and I guess it's a sign of spring when the Gueriguettes hit the streets of Paris, and Katie and I gobbled 2 baskets of Gueriguettes within moments. They were the most delicious and delicate, just exquisite strawberries I've ever tasted. It was just so special to be standing there on the street of Paris in an outdoor French market surrounded by produce and the outdoor vendors of the charcuterie, the sausage guy, cheese, the fish. I mean, it was just such a great sensory experience as well. But I shall always remember my first taste of Fraise Gueriguette. That was really fun. And then, yes, Wendy Lin somehow convinced me to sample donkey sausage. That was quite an experience and something I'll always remember. But we sampled it from one of the outdoor vendors. He is, they call it in France MOF, and pardon my pronunciation, but it's Meilleur Ouvrier de France. And this is like such a prestigious award. It's like the best of the best, and it's for a specific category. So this wonderful vendor at the fresh market who was selling the sausages and the meat, he was an MOF in the charcuterie, and the sausage, another sausage I tried, had blue cheese in it. It was just a really interesting taste, and everything was so fresh. The cheese store, the Fromagère, was such a memorable experience too. There is a real protocol and etiquette in terms of how the Parisians shop for cheeses. You go to the cheese store, and which was adjacent right to the outdoor market, and once again the Fromagerie, the cheese proprietor, was an MOF in cheese, so he was the best of the best, and this was exquisite cheese. And I did not realize that there are so many varieties of cheese. I think it was like over 1,300 in France. It's just amazing just how many varieties. And the way that you properly visit a cheese store, if you find yourself at one in Paris, is to line up and wait for the cheese expert to come to you, and then he or she will escort you and show you each section of the cheeses, which is divided in terms of kind of the texture, as well as if it's how would I explain it? If it's a sharp cheese, mild cheese, the different varieties, they're lined across the shelves, and they really spend a lot of time with you. They ask specific questions. What is the occasion for? When do you think you'll be using it? How many people are you planning for this cheese to serve? And it's quite an experience. So you don't just walk in and browse along the shelves and anything like that, or just pick it up, like at the grocery store, you go pick up a wedge of cheese. No, it's very much an experience and an educational one too, because they truly are connoisseurs of cheese and the craft of aging the cheese. So that was so memorable as well, the outdoor market. Also, oh my goodness, visiting this exquisite chocolate shop as well was just delicious. And he too was an MOF in terms of chocolate. It was just delicious, melted in my mouth. The faux pas, oh my goodness, that was quite an experience. And I promise you all along with my Culinary Quest listeners, I will always be honest about my discoveries. And this is a little bit embarrassing to share, but here it goes. I was able to get coveted reservations. I'm just so excited that this lunch spot opened up for me to go and experience lunch at Spring Restaurant. Chef Daniel Rose, who actually happens to be from Chicago, opened this just an incredible restaurant called Spring Restaurant there in Paris, and you walk along this little alleyway and are greeted in a very small space. I mean, it's impressive. It only seats like 28 people, and you feel like it's very much of a special occasion, even at lunch. And the servers were just delightful, and the food just kept coming. There's like a prefix, and then it was just delicious, the appetizers and the meal and the dessert and everything that goes with that. Well, I have learned a very important lesson, listeners, and that is to bring my reading glasses whenever I go to a restaurant. It was a beautiful presentation. It was a type of oyster served in this beautiful shell, and it was resting atop. The scallop shell was resting on top of what I thought was like a risotto or some type of rice to look like the sand. So I thought, oh, this is delicious, and I'm not a big seafood eater, especially of the mollusk variety. So lo and behold, I got my fork, and I thought, oh, well, I'll just take a little bite of this rice or risotto, which looks so lovely, and it's a beautiful presentation, before I dip my fork into the mollusk. Well, when I put the little fork in my mouth, lo and behold, it was not risotto, it was not rice, it was sea salt. So yes, here I was putting a forkful of sea salt in my mouth and trying not to make a scene. Oh my goodness, it was like eating a big bag of potato chips and swallowing the Atlantic Ocean. But even with my faux pas of taking a forkful of sea salt, that did not take away from the exquisite experience and the incredible taste of the preparations that from the menu that Chef Daniel Rose prepared at Spring Restaurant. And I'll be sure that I post some pictures of the beautiful meal that I sampled, including what I thought was the risotto or rice with the scalloped shell atop. Anyway, that was quite an experience, but I will also include a blog about that too, the foie gras and faux pas. But you know what? That is the fun of having adventures and discovering my taste and the culinary quest. And I'm just so excited that you're joining me along this journey, and I'm just so excited to be back in the kitchen here on Kitchen Chat. Just wanted to share some of the guests who will be joining us in the kitchen these next few weeks. Next week, Katie Workman. She is the founder of Cookster.com, which is a great online resource with cookbook recipes from some of the top chefs that you'll recognize and you'll really enjoy. She is also coming in town to participate in a very special charity event for Wings. Taste Takes Flight, which is on April 27th. So for those in the Chicago area, please drop by for that. In addition, Barb Stuckey, she is the author of Taste What You're Missing. Nina Simmons, Simple Asian Meals, and also it looks like Charlie Trotter. As you know, he will be serving his last meal in his wonderful restaurant in Chicago later this summer. So this will be such an honor and delight to chat with him on Kitchen Chat. So listeners, thank you so much for being a part of this special culinary quest. I hope you are discovering your own tastes as well, and I would love to hear from you. Please just send me an email or a tweet or Facebook and let me know what you're tasting these days and some of your faux pas as well that you've encountered and experienced along your own journeys. So anyway, please tune in again next week to Kitchen Chat, and meanwhile, remember, savor the day.
Thank you for joining us today. If you're interested in Margaret's books, A Mother's Heart Knows, Pearl Girls Encountering Grit, Experiencing Grace, and Go Back and Be Happy, please just click on the covers on the webtalkradio.net page in front of you. Margaret would love to connect with you and hear from you, so join her on Twitter, Facebook, her blog, or click on this website to leave a note and share a recipe. Thank you again, and we'll see you here again for a new show next week.